Good morning. It's Falcons Daily here on a Monday morning. I'm CG, your host, Craig Green, and we are still kind of lamenting what happened yesterday in New England as the Falcons lost 24-23. They got the what we thought would have been the game tying touchdown, but instead Parker Romo bricked the extra point right at the worst moment, and the Falcons were not able to stop um, the Patriots after having to punt the football. They did get the ball back. They had a an intentional grounding penalty. That should or should not have been. Had to punt the football, couldn't stop the Patriots, and game over. So, really really a bad taste in our mouths. But let's call a spade a spade. The Patriots, for the most part, definitely the first half, they outplayed the Falcons. They were moving the football. They looked like they were going to win early on. I mean, obviously, I didn't think it was over or anything like that. You've got four quarters and sometimes overtime, but this game in the first half definitely felt like it was heavily leaning towards the home team. Again, first half they were just crushing the Falcons. The Falcons weren't unable to move the football. They were unable to stop Drake May. But in the end, the second half, the Falcons played a lot better. Really started at the back end of the first half and then continued into the second half. They got much more stops. The offense started moving the football. Drake London pretty much had a coming out party in front of a good amount of the country yesterday, and unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. In that, the Falcons did amass more than 50 yards rushing. They got 71 yards total as a team on the ground. Obviously, not good enough whatsoever. In the red zone, they were 3 for 3. I mean, we've been asking for this type of stuff. They got the red zone looks. Penix played, had one of his best games, if not his best. I would say maybe his second best game of the season. We didn't turn the football over. We forced 2 turnovers. We sacked the quarterback 6 times, and we still lost. Still lost. It's like we're snake bitten sometimes. But that's the NFL. Things just happen. So, we'll look at some of the numbers here real quick for both teams. Again, Falcons only had 13 first downs, only 17 first downs. Patriots had 23. They ran 54 plays to the Patriots 68. Patriots crushed them in time of possession, 34 minutes and 5 seconds to 25 minutes 55 seconds. On Falcons were abysmal on third down, 1 of 10, but they were 2 of 3 on fourth down. That was a big factor in this game as well. Patriots were able to stay on the field a lot. They were 8 for 12 on third down. A team that wasn't very good on third down at all crushed it on Sunday. Uh, Looking at the yards per play as well, Falcons had more yards per play. They were getting a little more explosive in the back half of the game. And I told you there was ways for them to hit big plays on their wide receiver, with their wide receivers because, their expected yards per play or yards per attempt, I believe it was right around 10 yards, especially on the outside. And again, Drake London had a big ball game. When it comes to the passing attack, I thought Penix, the offense largely did all right. It was a mixed bag. There was some penalties there that you'd love to have back, especially one at the end of the ball game. But before that penalty happened, Falcons only committed 4. The Patriots 2 penalties for 15 yards. Again, they were the more disciplined team. They were more efficient, and that's where the game was right there. But again, that extra point, it just stings. Bijan Robinson, 46 rushing yards on the ground. Henderson for New England had 14 carries for 55 yards and a touchdown. Looking at the rest of the stats for the Falcons, Tyler Algier largely a non-factor today. 2 carries for 6 yards and just couldn't get him into the game really because we fell behind 24-10, and we had to 21-7, and then 21-14 had to throw the ball. Then it was 24-14, and we really had to get away from the run game. So. But, Bijan Robinson, 8 catches for 50 yards. He had, 12 carries for 46. So that is 20 touches for 96 yards for Bijan. No touchdowns for him. Uh, Kyle Pitts, 4 for 38. Not bad. He had some really nice catches. Darnell Mooney, 1 for 15. It was a big catch at the time. And David Sills had a target, did not bring it in. But outside of that, defensively, gosh, I mean, what can you say? I mean, 6 sacks. I mean, Jalen Walker had two, Lakel London had two, Brandon Dorless had two. And again, one of the ones that Walker had was a forced fumble that Pierce picked up and brought inside the 10-yard line and helped the Falcons get that touchdown to bring it to within 21-14. So a big day right there for those guys. But it sucks. It went to waste. Jesse Bates had an interception. We'd been waiting to see that. The kick return game, not bad today. I mean, about 24 yards of return. It's not terrible. I know kickoffs or touchbacks are at the 35 if you can get it, where it needs to go. But if you're returning it from inside your 5-yard line or whatever, getting, 24, 25 yards of return, starting the Falcons right around the 30, not bad field position, really. Jamal Agnew had 2 punt returns. He averaged 14 yards of return. He looked pretty good as well yesterday. Bradley Pinion, I thought, had some really. It was a mixed bag. I thought mostly pretty good for Bradley Pinion just watching the game. He did average 43.4 yards a punt. He had one that was about 39 yards that wasn't very good. But outside of that, special teams I thought was all right. Defense stepped it up and offense stepped it up in the second half. One of the bigger topics of this game that's getting a little bit of attention is the non-call or the call and the non-call that may have happened on the Falcons' final drive of the game. And some of you may remember Falcons were lining up right around the 48-yard line of the Patriots to snap the ball on 2nd and 10. And there was Falcons snapped the football. There was a rush coming. Looked like one of our offensive linemen never got out of his stance on the play. And what happened was Penix dirtied the ball, but it got called. He threw it right there at Kyle Pitts, but it did not get past the line of scrimmage, and he was still in the tackle box, so he was called for intentional grounding, and that set the Falcons back 10 yards, and they lost it down, so it went from 2nd down and 10 at the Patriots' 48-yard line. Now you're back at your own 42-yard line, and it's 2nd down or it's 3rd down and 20. And, from there, of course, the pass was incomplete, and Raheem did not want to take any chances being on their side, being on his own side of the field, trying to go for it on 4th and 20. So he decided to punt it, play defense, and try to get the ball back. But Falcons could not get the ball back. The Patriots were able to convert on 3rd down and end the game. But, so the controversy surrounding it was the fact that on that intentional grounding, it looked like Penix was not ready for the ball to be snapped because it just hit him right in the stomach and he caught it, and he's like, "Oh snap!" Here it comes, and again, you saw it was our good Lord, Chris Lindstrom had left the game and was not in on that snap there that time, but Javon Gwynn was in the game playing right guard. So he was out there. Gwynn never got out of his stance. I'm thinking that either he was the trigger man to tell him to snap the football or what it was. But Gwynn never got up. And, again, Penix just threw the ball in the dirt to avoid, the pressure, thinking that the play was dead or really he thought he was good to go on the pass because he had a receiver in the area. But the story coming away from it from Raheem Morris and also Michael Penix was that the Patriots were possibly clapping and trying to distract and try to create a discerned signal towards the Falcons, which triggered Ryan Newsel to snap the football early. So if that's the case, that should have been a 15-yard penalty for discerning signals and a 1st down automatically for the Falcons. But instead, it ended up being an intentional grounding. They threw the flag immediately. There was not even a question about it for the referees. But don't know how much the Falcons lobbied for that on the field. I didn't catch it on live TV, and I didn't really see or hear anything watching back on replays I saw like on X and stuff like that. So maybe the Falcons have evidence of it, maybe they don't, but it's just tough luck for them that it went down that way. But here's what Michael Penix had to say regarding that situation. He said, "Whenever I'm clapping, that means I want the ball." And Ryan Newsel said he heard them clapping and he thought it was my clapping. He snapped the ball or threw the ball in KP's direction. That's Kyle Pitts. He had just released on routes. I thought I was going to be okay with the grounding part, but obviously that wasn't the case. So, according to Ryan Newsel, he heard the Patriots clapping on the field. And sorry for the camera moving there. He heard the Patriots clapping on the field, and that is what caused him to snap the football when he thought it was Penix. Penix clearly wasn't asking for the football. When you go back and watch, he had his leg up. But again, they're doing silent counts and they have their own cadence. So either, one of two things happened. Either the Patriots were cheating and got away with it, which, how many of you guys have heard that before? Or the other part of it is Newsel literally just forgot the cadence and the snap count and snapped the football early. So it's one or two. It's one of the two. Either way, it was the worst time for something like that to happen. It put us in 3rd and 20, and then we couldn't get that. What I didn't like about that 3rd down and 20 is that it felt like Penix tried to get all of it back in one play. One thing I would like to see with the offense and the offensive coordinator, head coach, or whatever it may be, is instead of trying to, first of all, we need to stay out of these ridiculous down and distances, 2nd and 15, 3rd and 17, whatever the hell it may be. And if we get into things like that, where it's, a false start sets us back 5 yards and it's 1st and 15 or 2nd or whatever, 1st and 2nd down, stop trying to get all of it in one play. Just chop it up, like on that 3rd down and 20, you could try to get a 10-yard pass and then realistically go for it on 4th down on the Patriots side of the field. You don't have to get all of it in one play. I mean, the clock was not expiring on us, at that moment that quickly. So I feel like the execution in that moment was absolutely poor, and some of it cost the Falcons the game. And again, of course, execution on the 3rd down play when the Patriots got the 1st down to end it, was another factor. But just, having to burn timeouts because things like guys like David Sills were not lined up correctly, in the 4th quarter. Just the offense has still got a lot of room for improvement if we're going to win some of these games, especially on the road. And then, the thing of it is also you get down there, you get the touchdown that you need to tie the game, or seemingly get you within 1 point of tying it. You trot your kicker out there, and he bricks it. Now in a way, I can kind of see why Raheem Morris goes for it on 4th down in field goal range a lot of times without putting the kicker out there because, they pay him a whole hell of a lot less than they pay Younghoe Koo, but he doesn't trust him any more than anyone else on the team. Like, my whole thing is, you cut Younghoe Koo for salary cap reasons. The man missed one kick in the first game of the season, after he made all the other kicks, and then you let him walk because of his salary. Then you bring this guy in, the whole world is like, oh, he's awesome after he goes 5 for 5 in a stadium that he played in the year before. Then you put him on the road at Carolina. He looks completely out of his element. You got to get him indoors for him to look good. You bring him outside, like he did have the one field goal earlier, great. He was making his extra points before, but then in a big moment, he misses that kick. It could have happened to any kicker, of course, but it's just so funny that it just playing out this way. I know Koo is not on the field right now for anybody, and again, he's a kicker who's actually established and would really quantify a high salary. I think a playoff team would be looking at Younghoe Koo right now if they needed a kicker, if something were to happen down the line. But, it's crazy to me. Sometimes I'm pulling my hair out, waiting for Raheem to trot Romo out there to kick the field goal and take some points. Like earlier in the game, we could, before the Walker forced fumble that got us to 21-14. Right before that, I'm like, bro, kick the field goal, man. Like, you are in field goal range. Make it 21-10 or give us that chance. If he misses the kick, some of the same things could have still happened right there because the Patriots would have started the ball right, in that same spot. If he makes the kick, you're still down by 2 possessions, but you've at least drawn a little bit closer. I just don't understand the mindset. And to me, it's clear. It's clear to me he does not trust Parker Romo whatsoever. And I'm just saying, if you're going to have a kicker you don't trust that you're going to pay cheaply, you might as well just kept Younghoe Koo, a kicker that you did trust and paid a little bit more money to. It just kills me. Um, all right, so let's get to out of ranting about that. Let's talk about who actually played well against the Patriots. I mean, it starts really at the top. It starts, Drake London had a hell of a ball game yesterday. My man had 3 touchdowns and he had some sick catches. Drake London yesterday's game, he had 9 catches, 118 yards, 3 touchdowns, a long of 40. He was in his bag yesterday. He had one over Christian Gonzalez, and he fell on Gonzalez and kind of knocked the wind out of him. That was just a thing of beauty. Luckily Gonzalez was okay. I'm glad he wasn't hurt. But that catch by Drake, that jump ball that he makes and just comes down with it. He's one of the best in the league at doing that. The touchdowns on the fade routes yesterday. I mean, Drake London, I tell you what, that guy yesterday was just awesome. Bijan Robinson had a ridiculous catch himself yesterday. He had one where he jumped up in the air, brought it down with one hand. It was just an amazing catch. I mean, that drive for the Falcons to get down there and make it 24-23, there just were some sick plays on that drive by Robinson, by London. The touchdown catch by London, just unbelievable. Penix, we talked about who played well. Michael Penix, in my opinion, played a great ball game. He wasn't as efficient as he needed to be, but I mean, we were 3 for 3 in the red zone, okay? And that was Penix throwing touchdown passes in the red zone. 22 of 37, 221 yards, 3 touchdowns, no picks, only sacked 1 time, a quarterback rating of 103.5, a passer rating, that is. The QBR rating, ESPN's metric, 89.6, and he largely outplayed Drake May, and I stand on that. But let's look at their comparison from yesterday. Drake May, yesterday, 19 of 29, 259. He had 2 touchdowns and he had two touchdowns, a interception to Jesse Bates, and a fumble that was forced by Walker, recovered by James Pierce. His passer rating 102.5. So he looked good, but again, Michael Penix. Again, despite the percentage being under 60, he's like right at 59% completions. Awesome game for Penix. He kept us in the ball game late. The defense and offense really, started playing well in the second half, and I think that's what kept us in the ball game. Arnold Ebiketie, I thought, was another guy who had a really good game. He seemed like he was on his rush points. He was tackling guys in the backfield. Arnold Ebiketie, yesterday, he finished yesterday's ball game with 3 tackles. He had 1 for loss. I thought his rushing ability was pretty darn good. Laquel London, 2 sacks yesterday. I thought he had a nice game. Jalen Walker, James Pierce, all played well. Jesse Bates got an interception. AJ Terrell was all over the place. Again, we lost, but and the performance wasn't good enough, but we did have some really good performances yesterday. So shout out to some of those guys, and hopefully next week it'll be enough to get a win. But the dud of the day, I'm sorry, goes to Parker Romo. And if you're asking what the difference is between Koo's miss in the first game and Parker Romo's miss in this game, is that the reason why Koo was on the field in that pressure situation is because the offense couldn't punch the ball into the end zone. The difference between it now is that the offense did what they were supposed to do. They got the touchdown. We've been talking about these moments where we have to rely on Younghoe Koo, Matt Bryant, Jason Elam, Nick Luckhurst, whatever, right? Or Parker Romo. And now we had to rely on him today, and this is a 33-yard extra point, okay? This is an extra point, and you bricked it. And it cost us. It was part of the reason why we lost the game. Younghoe Koo was out there trying to get 3 points on a kick a little further out because the offense didn't do their job, and that's where I had the frustration of it. Today, this is even worse. Or yesterday's kick was even worse because, again, the Falcons' offense did what they had to do. Their defense did what they had to do. One man couldn't put it through the uprights and make it happen for the Falcons. But anyway, I thought that the Falcons just a hard luck loss at 3-5, and now they have to go ahead and get ready to travel to Germany, and they're going to take on the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts, they lost yesterday on the road as well. They lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that was can't remember what the score of that game was. I'll get it for you here real quick. Sorry about that, everybody. But the score of the game with the Colts and the Steelers, 27-20. They will have to see Daniel Jones, who threw for 342 yards in the game, still, in comeback fashion, but it's going to be over in Germany. Falcons have had some good luck against the Colts in the recent history and also in international games. Some of you may remember the International Bowl in Japan, where it was Michael Vick against Peyton Manning, and the Falcons won that game. Even though it was an exhibition game, we'll still take it. Falcons internationally have been a kind of a mixed bag. We lost to Detroit back in 2014. We beat the Jets in Kyle Pitts' rookie season. Then we took a bad loss here to the Jacksonville Jaguars a couple seasons ago with Arthur Smith as our head coach. But now we get another chance to hit the international scene. It's going to be a 9:30 kickoff out there, 9:30 on the East Coast, 6:30 on the West Coast. So all of you California Falcon fans out there, I feel bad for y'all. 6:30 in the morning. That's a hard deal to get up that early in the morning to try to watch the game. But hey, we do what we got to do, and we will be out there in full force. All right, y'all. We'll be back tomorrow with more Falcons Daily. We will try to move on from the Patriots loss and see what we got going on here when the Falcons are heading out to Germany. We'll keep our eye on anything trade deadline related. We'll really get into that for tomorrow's show to see if the Falcons make any moves. I mean, you could we have to look at the offensive line, see what's going on with Chris Lindstrom and also with Matthew Bergeron, who both left the game and didn't return. And we have to look and see what's going on here with this kicker situation, with our linebacker situation, because it's clear that we still need a little bit of help, even though we had some of the guys return yesterday. Leonard Floyd, also another player who left the game and didn't return with a hamstring issue. So, Falcons are hurting right now. Some of our impact players that we need, some of our depth is being tested, and it's time maybe to test the waters and see what we get in free agency. All right, everybody, we will holler at y'all tomorrow. Give me a follow on social media, Craig G Sports, CRAIG, the letter G in the word sports. Fan Arch, they're up there in the top left corner, FANARCHCO, Fan Arch Co. on all of the social medias. We'll see you tomorrow. Sayonara and buenos noches.